What's good, y'all? Yeah, it's Mike at jhbizz, and I'm back with another one. And today, family, we back sitting in with Off the Grid Network with none other than Big Homie CC, surviving the game and exposing celeb secrets. Without no more further ado, let's get to it.
28% of all talent is signed. I have been in studios, there are 6 different writers writing the music. The person who's the artist is just the face card. You used to have to be really talented. Now they can manufacture you. They're all controlled by the same group of people. The lady I was bodyguarding was a Playboy playmate. I'm asleep on the couch. He breaks down the door. She's like, killer, killer. So she's calling me to come out. I come out the room. We face off in the hallway. When I punched him, he didn't budge. When he punched me, rocked me. I'm up against the wall. That's when the mace came out. I ended up choking him out. The professional thing here, you have to inform law enforcement that you're operating and doing certain things as well. Otherwise, you're just a vigilante. They're gonna take your ass to jail. How this really all started was a lady comes to the spot. The dude Kenny, him and another guy ended up gang raping her 6-year-old daughter. She comes to the spot. She busts through the door. She said, "Look what they did to my baby." She handed me a stack of money. She said, "I don't care what you do, but you better do something." This is how that footage of me shot up came out, because I didn't know that dude had 50,000 to put on my life. That's what really united my homies to say, you know what, BH, we stand with you on this. Once people seen that dude with head knotted up like that, a lot more people started reaching out.
Welcome back to Off Top Podcast. This is your boy Legacy Lamont, and today we got a guest that is widely known for his outspoken interviews with appearances on Piers Morgan Uncensored and No Jumper. He's gone from guarding some of the biggest celebrities in the world to becoming one of the loudest voices exposing what happens behind closed doors in the industry. From Chicago's South Side to Hollywood's darkest rooms, from speaking on trafficking, seeking peace overseas, he's walked a path few can imagine. As a fellow Chicagoan, man, it's an honor to share space with someone who carries both his weight and his wisdom of his journey. This is Big Homie CC. Appreciate you having the time to even come on our podcast, man. Big fan.
Yeah. You speak eloquently. Very nice introduction, man. It's a humbling feeling to hear that. I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Man, it's good to be on here with another Chicago brother. Let's work.
Yes,
Let's
sir.
go ahead
Yes,
and
sir.
cook.
Man, I'm good, brother. I'm not in Chicago, just like you ain't, but you know,
Yeah.
our lineage go back to the city, man. Big history in the city or whatever. And I do want to touch on your Chicago roots, like the foundation. So my first question is, growing up in Chicago, what did you see or survive that shaped your personal code of legacy and your survival?
Right. So, in the inception of everything, when I was a young guy, a young kid, 12, 13, 14, I had 2 bodyguards. Name was Guito, and the other guy was Sterling Shepard, because my father was a software developer. But along his path, he decided to work on the dark side. And he had did something with the Clinton administration with some of them people, and it made him have some threats against him. So I remember one day, FBI comes to the house. They have a whole conversation, because by law they have to tell you if there's a threat against your life, and they know about it. I hear this whole little breakdown from them. My dad hired some Muslim guys to be our security, and they instilled certain core principles into me about survival, because I'm not gonna lie, it's been crazy since day one. You feel me? Like, well, I didn't have a typical childhood, but I had strong ladies in my family, my mom, my aunts, my grandma. They kept me in church, kept me in school, and I always took my education and stuff seriously. But, the guys in my family, they did they had illicit trades.
Mhm.
So I was an experiencer of violence young. I was exposed to a lot of things early, and I have a younger brother and a younger sister. And I never forget this. One of my bodyguards had told me, say, look, you're going to have a rough life because your dad is a piece of shit.
Whoa.
So they would have me watching like DVDs like Faces of Death, cartel torture videos and stuff like that because they want to harden my mind.
Mm.
So like my brother would cry and leave. He didn't want to watch it. You feel me? They would say, well, he's not crying, so make him keep watching it. And me not knowing, I probably shouldn't have been seeing that at a young age. But, these guys are hardened soldiers. Guito was an Army sniper. Sterling was an Army Ranger previously. These guys, they operate on the dark side. They do cruel business at times. And, they always told me that in order for a good man to combat evil, he must be able to enact evil when it's needed. So, it was a tumultuous upbringing, but it got me here for sure.
Man, bet that and you speak a lot on the women in your life in a lot of your interviews, man. You said that the women who raised you taught you strength. What values did they pass on that still guide how you move today?
Oh, okay, great question. So like the most importantly is the value of family. Because, without the value of family, a man can go wayward, and they also taught me several survival skills, especially when it comes to cooking, sewing, operating with a needle and thread. So, like I travel a lot, things get torn. I know how to sew, my aunts and my mom, my grandma, they taught me how to make big meals with the little of nothing. You feel me? So I'm able to put together things well because there was a period of time where my mom was in a mental hospital and my dad was in prison. So that left me at home with my siblings alone. So, my sister complained. She said, "We're gonna eat pizza every day. Like, what's going on?" So, I had to learn how to cook young. I had to learn how to, there was times where I had to sew in her weave before. You feel me? So, yeah. So, they taught me a lot of skills, so I was definitely diverse with that. And they made sure I was cultured as well, kept me in museums. They kept me in programs. I was an athlete and stuff like that, because, the men in my family gangsters, bro. You feel me? And they didn't want me to just only have that side of me. So, yeah, they definitely instilled the things I need to know. Because, them keeping me in church and the way they raised me put love in my heart.
Mm.
If they did not do that, yeah, it could have got a lot crazier for a lot of people, for sure.
Right, I know you've been through a lot, man, and I've seen some of the things you've been through. How much of that actually stems from your activities in Chicago, and then what do you think? How do you think that the state of Chicago is right now? As a barber, right? We talk about if it's possible to change the state of affairs and the things that's going on in Chicago. Do you think it's possible to turn things around?
People have asked me questions similar to this, but this is why I was excited to get the interview with you because you know how to word things in an aspect that people can grasp from any realm of society. I always tell people this, the onset of the internet portrays as if Chicago just became this violent place.
Yep.
And a lot of things that are going on now, what's already going on is just that previously there was structure to street gangs and different organizations. Once the structure left, things kind of became a free-for-all because this is the era of the children of the crack babies.
Yep.
And people don't talk about that aspect of things because previously, could we have changed any of those previous eras? Probably not. I believe everything happens in eras in Chicago. And right now, this era is just a lot more poignant because we in the short form content era. You know, everything is, as soon as something happens, it's on the internet. It's out for people. And you know, like I always tell people that Chicago is one of those places where you can be completely out of the way, no gang affiliations. You're making an honest living, and trouble will come knock on your front door. You go to the front door, it's gonna sneak in through the back. So you got to be vigilant in that city, you know. And I always tell people, like, especially black men, I tell them if I got love for them, hey, look, bro, like, only thing our city do is take us away from our family. You feel me? Once you get to a certain stage, if you get the opportunity, you should leave straight up.
Absolutely, man. I agree, man. It's sad because, you know, like at least some of the other cultures like Cali or something like they still got the OGs, and it doesn't seem to be that way now. It's just like the wild, wild west. Do you think that's true nowadays, or you feel like, you know, that there's a possibility that some kind of stability can come back to at least the activities that's going on?
See, the thing is, like, if we don't police ourselves, things get out of control. Because you look at California, you know, over the weekend they had two people killed, 10 shot. In Chicago, you have 10 people killed, 54 people shot.
Yeah.
Because the lack of the presence of the OGs, like you said. Without a leadership structure, beliefs can turn into self-destruction. We see this often when people weaponize religions. Because, you know, gang culture, gang values is far more reaching than just that. This is people's belief system and religion. And you can't fight a war without belief. You know, belief is instilled into any army, any navy, period. In this instance, what's going on is the structure was started at home. You know, you had uncles, fathers, big brothers who had certain affiliations. I remember growing up, you know, they would tell us, you better take your ass to school, you know? Like, no one's doing that now, you feel me? And I did a little mentorship program in Chicago a few years back. And one of the kids that they brought, kid was 16, right? He's 16 years old. And he told people that he was the big homie of his area. And the older guy said, bro, how you big homie, bro? You don't even, you too young. It don't work like that. And the guys who kept things in order, they went to prison or died. Now, the interesting thing about this is I compare it to the situation in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Okay.
When the U.S. Army informed the chiefs of those villages and communities that they were going to invade, the local chief said, listen, we don't want you invading our land. We will give you Osama bin Laden. Government turned it down.
Because that wasn't what they was really going for, right?
Because that was not their true cause for going there.
Absolutely.
So in our situation, in Chicago, and any inner city where there's high crime, high violence, poverty, you see the same factors. The reason they don't take further action to stop this is because all of this is a system that funds I call it the biggest trafficking organization, period. You know, the prison system, all of this, from the music to the prison system, from the school, it all boils down to this machine, which makes billions. So if you have a minority group, and then within that minority group, you have this tribalism of different factions that want to murder each other and commit crimes and fund this system, you're not going to stop that.
Yeah, there's too much money in it.
Too much money
in it. It's just modern day slavery, right?
Absolutely. Because you get arrested, you go to prison. Let's say you get 10 years. For 10 years, you're working a job making 8 cents an hour. That's a free labor force. So, you know, they had to replace the slave trade somehow in this country, and that's how they did it.
Man, I love that answer, brother. You always connect the dots on everything, man. I mean, this is off script or whatever, but you know, I often say too that, especially in the shop, I think we are only as good as our women are. And I feel like that we've seen a degradation of women's character, like on a severe level in the last few years. I mean, these if you're looking at these kids that are like, I'd say 30 or under, you know, in their 20s, the YNs, if you look at them and look at the women that like vibe with that culture, they okay, they down for anything. They gonna jump, give me the ski mask, give me the chopper. I'm gonna hop in with you. And I would say, you know, I'm in my 80s baby. That would have been crazy back in the 90s and even the early 2000s. So like the degradation has come to a point where it's just, man, like they're what women allow is the balance of what is the man that actually trying to, you know what I'm saying? What's cool for men.
Absolutely. You well said, marvelous point, because they took away the incentive for a man to want to accomplish things so he can have a great woman at home. And we see era of music coming where it's girl drill rappers now. And, you know, even with my own family, you know, I got a little cousin who she don't want Barbies and stuff like that. You know, she want a gun. You feel me? And it's like, yo, how do you curb this activity? You feel me? You know, I always say this, you feel me? Like modern day dating in America, you feel me? If you get a solid lady, you are blessed because, you know, it's just the league of extraordinary pussy sellers right now. You feel me? Like everybody has some type of sex work job that they have. You feel me? Everything is transactional. You know, everybody's selling feet pictures. They got an OnlyFans page. They twerking on Instagram all day. And then you go look at these ladies' parents. These are the children of the crack era. So their culture and influence is just mainstream media nonsense. So, you know, when you look further into it, you know, they got the USAID program. When USAID was shut down, several record labels were also shut down because they were getting funded by USAID. If you want to attack a culture, first you remove the men and then you compromise the integrity of the women, that's going to cause a collapse. That's exactly what we have witnessed. And, you know, I gave up dating completely. You feel me? I said, I'm only going to date when I get to Africa. You feel me? And once I got here, it was a wise choice for me because, you know, take yourself for example. You know, I had owned a barbershop before and I know how to cut hair. So there would be situations where, you know, a barber don't show up, people coming in, now I got to cut.
Man.
Now, when you feel me? And like people don't understand, you standing up all day, that has, you know, that affects the attrition of your body. So doing all of that, then you got to come home and then maintain a household. And then your significant other is twerking all day on TikTok. You feel me?
Right.
You're not going to be successful in that household. You know, it's going to cause dissension. And then you going to start to resent her because, like, hey, you know, we living pretty okay here. You feel me? Help me out here a little bit. And then as soon as you say that, oh, you trying to control me. All right, well, you know, this is why, you know, I see a lot of guys, they're dating outside of their race. Simply because.
Do you think we're losing traditionalism? So I'm one of them guys. I never, to be honest, I never thought I would be in this place where I find someone outside of my culture, right? But I need a woman that where I can leave it all on the court, come home, and peace is just there. You know what I'm saying? And there's no, I'm arguing, we trying to over who got the biggest, you know what I'm saying, Johnson. And I'm sorry, I can't do it. I'm not dealing with it. I'm not dealing with it. And nobody that really has a mission on this earth that has something that a mission they're trying to do and excellence that they're trying to put into this world has time to deal with a woman that's argumentative, that is, you know, trying to be the man of the relationship.
Bro, you said that well, because when you mention argumentative, how many times have we seen ladies brag about how difficult they are to deal with?
Right.
Sweetheart,
as if it's a strength of, it's our responsibility. What we supposed to do? Put you in the chokehold? Like, no.
So you got to go fight the world all day, return home, and then now you got to fight with her. This is why you see that 41% of relationships have interrelationship violence because of this reason. This is why we seeing guys crashing out. You feel me? They flipping out, shooting the whole house. It's like, yo, hold on, what's going on? Like I said, bro, it all starts at home. You know, without the family structure, things can get very, very strange for sure.
Right.
Because oftentimes I have, in my retrieval business, I will get a call and I've seen the same scenario hundreds of times. They'll have a whole relationship, but they meet some person on Instagram or TikTok who's promising them things, and they don't realize that you're being brainwashed. Like, you're making yourself depressed because you see a lady who sells pussy has a Birkin bag. You're depressed because you don't have a G-Wagon from selling pussy and you have a stable household. This is the effects of social media. This is why in New York they banned TikTok for people under 15. This is why in certain countries you have to be a certain age to even have access to this, because somebody knew that with propaganda you can program the human mind. We see propaganda in North Korea. We see it all across the world. Somebody figured that out, and it's being weaponized against people. So it's kind of like you got to make a choice as a man. Like, okay, do I branch out or do I keep fighting this uphill losing battle? And as soon as you start to branch out, you be like, damn, I really wasn't asking for that much.
Right.
So it's like, remember when I was asking you in the DM, I'm like, man, how did you know that this is going to be your wife? Like, how did you know that? You feel me? Because, like, bro, I just need somebody who can take care of me while I'm taking care of everything else.
Absolutely.
You feel me? Because it's easier for you to do your job when you know, all right, this is done. I'm going to get to the crib. She got me.
Right. Right.
Straight like that. Straight like that, bro.
Right, and all of those values are gone. Like, it's so one-sided because society is the Western culture has devised this thing where they've given all of their balance of power so one way, but it's just doing the same thing. It's separating at home. That's why I think, in my opinion, I feel like a lot of guys are doing making emotionally based decisions because they are the product of a mother-only household. You know what I'm saying?
Single mother raised homes, the children have a 90% chance of going to prison. Single father raised homes, that number is cut down to 20%. Now, I always tell people whenever I go to these programs and I'm talking to children, I said, I'm pretty sure these little guys act just like their mom.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like that over and over and over. That's why when I started to see the attack on femininity, they did their number on the black male population. You feel me? But you have to give human beings more credit, because what people don't realize is in times of war, women give birth to more boys in times of war. That right there shows you that on a DNA, physical, chemical level, that there is a global consciousness that certain groups fight against. Because I seen a lot of ladies vote for Kamala Harris and all of that type of stuff, when that group of people was doing a lot to take away the value of being a woman. They were giving free sex change surgeries to children.
Right.
They passed a bill to give free sex change surgeries to inmates. So you got men getting sex change surgeries and then going from the men's jail to the women's jail and getting people pregnant and catching rapes in jail. It's by design, you feel me? So that's why we see Trump, his cabinet, send their National Guard to D.C. to clean up the streets. Why would that be a problem for our mayor in Chicago when...
That was my next question. Oh my God.
Why would that be a problem? Because people don't know this. I've had several homies get murdered.
Yeah.
If you get murdered on the streets of Chicago, the city pays you out. So, long live G Rail. When Rail got killed, his mama got a check for like $25,000. I'm like, wait a second, they paid you? Then I started doing more research. I said, wait a second, they paying all of y'all? They doing this on purpose. So I'm looking like, okay, why is there so much pushback to make the place where people's grandmothers and mothers and people's grandfathers,
Yeah.
where a guy should be able to go into his business, work his honest job, come out and get in his car without having a shootout getting carjacked. I feel like it's very strange because I went to a group home to speak to some kids, and one of them had just got released because of a legal search and seizure, but he was sentenced to like 25 years at 15 years old. The man said he was a virgin. So if you locking up a bunch of youths as virgins, they're going into prison, that's going to create a large population of homosexual males simply because of human nature of being deprived. And this ain't strange to nobody.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why, bro, that's why I just speak out about things. And I feel like, bro, I'm from the street, you feel me? So like, but I speak, I took my education seriously. I want people to understand what I'm saying. So I feel like the way that I put it together, it's starting to make people pay attention. Like, oh, okay, I see what's going on. Like I said, bro, it all starts at home.
Mm-hmm.
If the family structure is intact, the future can be bright. Without it, it's bleak.
Absolutely. I agree with you wholeheartedly, man. Oh man, like let's move on, bro. I'm trying to get into, breaking into the security industry and also Hollywood, man. When did security work become your path, and what was the first assignment that made you see the industry differently?
I started doing security. I was like 17. Guys in my neighborhood, they were like, hey, because my nickname for football was Killer. They would call me Killer or Killer Man.
Oh my God.
So that's my nickname. So and then, I always had a reputation in the street because, bro, when you in the hood, bro, people will do anything to you. If they know you're not to be played with, you get treated a lot better. So,
Mm-hmm.
I got the baby face, so I had to be fierce.
Mm-hmm.
I had to be fierce. So, I started doing little stuff like, neighborhood, street guys and stuff like that. And then as an athlete, I get to college, I'm working part-time in different bars, stuff like that as a bouncer, a guy working at the door, throwing drunk dudes out the club, walking girls to the bathroom, stuff like that. I ended up getting my security license for armed and unarmed when I was 21. And when I knew my football career was going to be over, I had knew so many athletes. They were just, yo, bro, come out with us so we throw you some little money. Okay. And I had bodyguards as a kid. I was enamored by that. You feel me? So I was already pretty much trained on how to do these things. So I had started a business. And then a buddy of mine named Iman Shumpert, he played, NBA champion.
Mm-hmm. Chicagoan.
So once I started moving around with him, it snowballed. You feel me? Because in that business, word of mouth is your best advertisement. Because anybody can put up make a company, put an ad out, hire for security. But when you want a bodyguard or somebody that's an expert in close protection, you can have an adequate or imminent threat to your life or your family.
Mm-hmm.
So, bro, people want to know that you can do your job, but at the same time, sometimes they want a friend as well.
Mm-hmm.
So just getting cool with people, it was like, Keith, you're a good man. You're not like most black guys. And I'm like, damn. I'm like, okay, well, why you say that? And then I started to notice that, oh, okay, once you get to the private sector, they look at niggas and black people as two different things.
Yes.
So once I discovered that, I said, okay, all right, I can make a name for myself, because verbal de-escalation is key. Because, if you got a high value client, people might do something, they might get knocked out on purpose so they can sue, and I've seen it several times. Shout out to Twister. He had a bodyguard named Big Country, and Big Country had knocked the fan out, and the dude ended up suing, getting like $300K from Twister. So, people knew that, look, Keith can talk people out of things. He's going to use force as his last option. So all of those qualities snowball. And then next thing you know, when the famous girls trust you, that changed everything for me. Because if one basketball wife trusts you, another will. And when you protecting the ladies, they tip more, they really just want to be a girl, and safe. It's been several times I'll be bodyguarding the guy. A few drinks go down. He gets turned down by a lady. Now he's the toughest guy in the spot. He want to fight now. You feel me? And you get tired of that. You're like, all right, dude, look, if you want to hire a goon, go find a gangbanger or somebody like that. You feel me? If you calling me, we gonna get you in and out safely. We gonna do a proper threat assessment to identify if there's any threats against you, and we're gonna put a plan together. So when it got to the point where I had a fight with a football player because the lady I was bodyguarding was a Playboy playmate. Now she was getting $2,500 a week child support. This dude was pissed about that, right? So wherever she went, she made sure she got the penthouse, her room, or my room was adjacent at all times. So I really blew up in the security space after this event where there was a guy who played for the Bears. He was a linebacker dude. I'm at this lady's house. I'm asleep on the couch inside of a little guest room. He breaks down the door. So I hear the commotion, and she's like, "Killer, killer!" So she's calling me to come out. He's like, "Killer?" I come out the room. Me and this guy, we face off in the hallway. Now, he was strong. I'm not going to lie. His neck was so thick. Like, Paul, that sounds crazy. His neck was wide. That sounds crazy. So, when I punched him, he didn't budge, but he punched me, rocked me. So I'm up against the wall. So that's when the mace came out, stuff like that. I ended up, that's when the mace came out. I ended up choking him out. And his brother was there, and his brother was recording a video. And this guy ended up presenting his own brother. He sends the video out to other people. People saw the video, and then my phone started to ring a lot. So that's how that started right there.
Okay, that's a crazy story.
That's fact right there, man.
That's dope stuff, man. Shout out to Legacy is my co-host. He wasn't able to be here with us, but he got an actual question for you, man. As an artist, you've been in the studio backstage and at like label tables. How much of this game is really talent? And how much is just submission?
Well, what was that last part again?
How much of this industry is music? Is in the music industry is just talent, and how much is it like basically who you know and who you rock with?
Okay. So I'm gonna give us a couple facts here. 28% of all talent is signed. This is gonna be controversial, but I've been there. I have seen it. Like when Vic Mensa got signed to his deal with Rock Nation, I was there for that. You feel me? Artists grind so hard so they can get the machine put behind them. I have been in studios where songs are getting made. There's 6 different writers writing the music. The person who's the artist is just the face card. You used to have to be really talented in the music industry. Now they can manufacture you. If you have a certain natural look and they feel like you marketable, they bring the writers, they bring the fashion people, they bring the audio engineers, they bring the producers. And this is why you see so many artists sign these terrible contracts, because the art that they're making, they sign it all away because they're not really making it. You feel me? So, that's why you see people trying to bring the mixtape era back in music, because to bring back natural talented people, because you see all these industry plants popping up here and there, and they're all controlled by the same group of people. I'm not going to say it on here because as soon as I said this previously, I ended up getting debanked, all kind of stuff happened. So, just know that the owner of BET is Paramount, and the president of Paramount is a little blonde Jewish lady. So we leave it at that. You feel me? The most talented people, bro, are on the credits of these albums. And writers. Because, Rhyme Fest used to write for Kanye. You got the Sci-Hi the Kid,
Sahara Prince.
Sci-Hi the Prince,
Atlanta.
one of the greatest writers of our time. He's on a lot of people's albums. You feel me? I forget this gentleman's name, but this gentleman,
Is he associated with Kanye?
he's associated with Beyonce.
Okay.
You know, some of the writers of these songs you would never suspect. You feel me? No, I do know this to be facts. When Rick Ross, when I was on tour with the MMG guys, when Rick Ross had found out his deal with Slip and Slide Records, that he had no ownership of his masters, he began to write for everybody. So wrote a lot of hit records for people so he could have that publishing and get that residual income. You feel me? So when it comes to how much is it talent to who you know, I'll say 80-20. 80-20 who you know and connections, and then 20% talent.
Okay, I mean, just to caveat off that, right? We have artists that's kind of showing people how to do it. Well, shout out to Nipsey, first of all. And I mean, I don't know if that puts a target on your back to be able to say command your audience and to really know the marketing piece and aspect and to really show people that you can actually make an income from this industry that's really geared not for you to make money, for the machine to make more money. You think that's true, man? And how do you feel about that?
You know, early on, of course, it was true. You know, like, shout out Steve Stout. He created United Masters. Shout out to Distro Kid. You know, shout out to these platforms because music has become monopolized. And we see how hip hop used to empower people, and then we see the narrative change. It became completely destructive to feed the prison system, like we spoke about earlier. And I feel like, you know, part of the American dream is free enterprise. And that's what's brilliant about my country is that even though there's a lot of skullduggery going on, you still have the opportunity, if you want, to try to fight the good fight. So, you know, when it boils down to it, I feel like it was bad when murder culture became sensationalized because, you know, those songs hit different when people know it's real. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I remember when, you know, the gangsters, they were so this our rapper right here. You feel me? Let him stay in the studio. He not doing no street shit. He's the rapper. You feel me? And then you see where the narrative came, oh, I don't want to listen to no rapper if he's not really doing this and not doing that. And it's like, okay, you know, we went from 2 Chainz style rappers to just blatant the Chief Keef drill era, you know. And if you want to remove generations of people voicing their music, weaken the family structure, put drugs in the community, and it's gonna do its job.
Now, another question is carry out off that question, right? Now, this may be a violation of like freedom of speech, but let's just say, for shits and giggles, right, that they were able to outlaw a certain type of music, a certain type of context in the music, drugs, that type of thing. Do you feel like it would be a positive thing? And if so, what kind of effects do you think would happen?
All right. So just to give you some more insight, drill music is banned in Nairobi, is banned in Nigeria, it's also banned in Jamaica and Haiti. Banned.
Well,
now, we are seeing the Trump administration label drug cartels as terrorist organizations, actively attacking them, disrupting shipments and all type of things. Those two things go hand in hand. In the country I'm in right now, if they had an opioid crisis, along with drill music, along with, because the legal drinking age here is 18. If they had those two other factors, the youth would be out of control. They know that, you feel me? And it all boils down to what we talked about earlier. If you add those same elements anywhere, you're gonna get the same exact results. So now we're watching things change. So they almost passed a bill to penalize and to go after big labels for empowering street organizations by giving these rappers all of this money and furthering the operations of criminal organizations. They almost passed this bill. The Democrats shot it down. Shot it down. That right there is what you just said. It would have stopped it. It's all by design, bro. You feel me? And you know, I don't even believe, it's my personal belief, after things I've seen, I'm getting chills now. In conversations I've had with billionaires, everybody is not a flesh and blood human being like you are not. Are not. They are not. There are other people there are other beings that walk among us, and that is a fact. And the supernatural exists. They paint a picture as all of this stuff doesn't exist because they serve it. I just want to put that out there because, you know, Robert Bigelow said to my face that they walk among us. And he elaborated some more, you feel me? I'm gonna let you control the conversation pace, but I want to throw that in there because too many things take place that are anti-human beings.
It makes you wonder. It really makes you wonder. It's like, you know, y'all eat the same food we do. Y'all are affected by the same music and the same poison that's putting out here. You know, and I just wonder, are there controls in place? Do they have, you know, the people that really run everything, right? Do they have controls in place to manage how they eat? Do they have things that, you know, that they're forbidden to do, places that are forbidden to go? You know, it makes you wonder, it's so widespread. How is it not affecting the people that really run everything? You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Now look, I'll say this. Being here in Kenya, I'm eating more food and losing weight. Even the ice cubes melt faster here. That was very concerning to me. Now, I traveled to a place called Embu to get some land. Now, in Embu, this is a community of pretty much all senior citizens. I'm talking about people in their 80s. So the lady I went to go see was 98 years old. She's out there tilling the land. She climbed up a tree, man. She said it's because we eat organic. We eat the food out the earth. Not all this preservatives and processed food. And I bought a bag of chips. On the bag of chips, it had 3 ingredients. You get a bag of chips in America that's got 100 ingredients. Half of them you can't even pronounce. They knew Red 40 gave you cancer 30 years ago. They didn't ban it until this year. The spookiest part about all of this is the United States government ran a program based off a DNA test they did on all government employees. They ran a program to monitor people who had abnormal DNA strains. They call it a hybrid monitoring program. At the end of the day, the white human DNA only goes back 7,000 years. The alleles in our body is what determines the pigment of our skin. Those alleles did not show up to about 7,000 to 8,000 years ago in the Scandinavian area. Where were they at? Did you know that the white human birth rate has been dropping by every year? This is why Roe v. Wade took place. That's why they banned abortion.
I heard about also too. I mean, I don't know if this is true, but in my research, I heard that a lot of what's going on overseas in Eastern European, like, you know, Russia and Ukraine, a big part of that piece is that the Russians are not populating; they're dying off, and a part of that is a reason why they are over there fighting to begin with.
Yes, because Vladimir Putin just banned the Church of Satan in Russia. But all of those people are just coming to America or going to America. And here's the thing. Russia used to own Alaska. They sold that to America. Putin realized that, wait a second, everybody on the planet that's in the positions of power ain't a flesh and blood human being like I am. So he is trying to purify his land because the highest concentration of single females over there is in the Ukraine. People didn't know that. So, you know, he said that the future children of Russia will not be born with shackles on their bodies from the Rockefellers.
Whoa.
It's literally of a battle of good and evil taking place, bro.
Yeah. And a lot of people are very much disillusioned about what's going on for real. Man, let's circle back.
All right.
Okay. What do you want people to understand about, the power structure in Hollywood that most people miss when they only see like the red carpet?
They need to compare every one of these Emmy Awards, Grammys. They need to compare all of that, all of the imagery, everything that you see. They need to compare it to biblical texts about the Baphomet and the devil. Because if you do that, you're going to see a lot of similarities. Why do we see our artists throwing this up? Come on, man, that's Baal, that's Moloch, that's their symbol. These people are doing rituals on us through this media. The movie The Conjuring just came out.
Mm.
They're giving people holy water before they go in.
Are you serious?
That's going on.
Whoa.
Hold on, even crazier. People always ask me about portals and what do I think about? I say, bro, if you want to find a portal, you go get a Ouija board. Ouija boards is a direct way to speak to demons. And they market it as a children's toy. Right now in Target, you go to the kids aisle, you're going to see a Ouija board. I've traveled across the world. People say America is ran by evil people. Children should not have a Ouija board. The problem with all of this is when I do all of this study and I do all this research, let's say the ancient alien theories is true, that non-humans influenced early humans and along that rhetoric. They all demanded for child sacrifice or woman sacrifice. Why is that? It all boils down to demonic entities or extra-dimensional entities. This is why at congressional hearings, Rep. Luna does not call them aliens. She calls them extra-dimensionals. This is why John D'Souza, the gentleman, retired FBI agent who ran the FBI's actual X-Files program, his book is called The Extra-Dimensionals. I've interviewed hundreds of people about visitation experiences they've had. They talk about this smell of sulfur or sulfuric acid. In the Bible, when they say a demon is around, they smell like sulfur. So is this the typical heaven and hell, or are these beings that are coming over from different dimensions? At the end of the day, the book of Enoch was removed out of the Bible by King James and 47 other clergymen when they edited the Bible. Second Peter, we go. Now, 2 Peter gives you instructions on how to be a good slave. What's that about? After King James edited the Bible, his next volumes of book was called what? Demonology. I feel like this man was possessed because what did he do after that? He murdered his mother. He was involved in a throuple relationship with 3 other men. But you just edited the Bible saying that homosexuality is an abomination. What's really going on?
Mm-hmm.
Whenever you see humans contradicting themselves, it's usually because of interference by controlling parties. Because everything else, when it comes to human survival, it's pretty cut and dry. If you don't eat, you die. If you don't drink, you die. If you don't have some type of trade craft, you can't purchase or acquire wealth or anything. It's pretty cut and dry. So it's like we're a resource here on this planet for somebody. You know, I'm not saying who, but the truth is definitely stranger than fiction.
How do you feel like that ties back to, these parties, these engagements that, that people go to in the industry? You describe NDAs and cameras at elite parties. What type of evidence would you convince open-minded skeptics, about this rumor?
There's a video, Kevin Hart with a group of streamers. Drewski is there, Kai Cenat is there, Roll Tide Willie is there. Shout out my boy Roll Tide Willie. And when it's time to pray, Kevin Hart won't let that prayer take place. Why is that? He won't do it. I tell people all the time, bro, when they ask me about these parties, me personally, I don't want to be at a party where all the guys are hugged up on each other.
Mm-hmm.
I see with my own 2 eyes some of the celebrity guys that people love sitting on each other's lap making out. You feel me? And once I saw that, you know, bro, I'm a whole gangster, bro. You feel me? Like, that's my belief system. You feel me? You know, it's just certain things as a man that you just should not ever sacrifice. And one of those things is your manhood. Because who have we seen it work out for? Look at the guy Lil Nas X. You know, he was on top of the world with the Brokeback Mountain song. You feel me? Then they just see him running down the street naked. Now he in the hospital. Now he in the mental hospital. You see what I'm saying? How many times we seen Justin Bieber on there look like he want to cry? Because at the end of the day, bro, I work in the field where I've seen people in their eyes when they're broken, when they have been violated, when they have been sodomized. I've seen the effects of it. So I know that look in somebody's eye when it's taking place. So, you know, you gotta.
Let me ask you this. What have you seen in a private session or party? Now, answer this carefully, please. That would completely flip the public's perception if it ever came out.
I'll say this. If you go to a party and the guy come out and collect all of the phones, if you stay there too long, you're going to be victimized. Point blank. No way around. There's no way around it because, bro, I've seen it. And I say, wait a second. It's all dudes in here. I'm like, that Cuba Good Jr. over there? And then you see these guys, then they catching rape cases and sexual assault cases. It's like, oh, y'all don't really like females. Y'all just like sex. With whoever you can get it from. You see what I'm saying? And you have to make a choice as a man. Like, all right, now, all money ain't good money. You feel me? Because how I got this line on my forehead, bro, I seen some stuff taking place at a party and I was offended by it. You feel me? And it led to an altercation. You feel me? A guy ended up hitting me with a bottle and a few people got shot that day. So it was just like, you know, they don't got me in all these lawsuits and shit for no reason, man. You feel me? Because, like, I stand on real business when it comes down to it. Because, like, once you compromise yourself as a man, bro, like, that self-doubt creeps in on people. I've seen it. That self-doubt creeps in, and the next thing you know, you see a guy who thought was on top of the world, he committed suicide. This is why.
I mean, it's a lot to talk about in this thing. You know, we with the verdict recently coming out with P. Diddy that happened, and we're waiting on his sentencing. You compare Cassie's story of trafficking dynamics, but what about the idea that she also became complicit? You know, that she wasn't just a victim, but in some ways she enabled and enforced what was happening. What do you see her role in its totality?
Yeah, I don't really see any role in it. I don't really, because, you know, at the end of the day, the relationship between her and Combs was indeed a trauma bond. Trauma bonds are real. Several times in my line of work, this is why I don't take retrieval calls for pimps and hoes. I don't take those calls because it's not the female sex worker that's calling to get retrieved. It's their family.
Yeah.
Then you get there and she'll fight to the death for her pimp.
Absolutely. I've been there.
And, you know, it's a trauma bond. And it's always fueled by money, drugs, alcohol, and material possessions. Same thing, cut and dry, every situation. Same thing happened to her. You feel me? She looked up to this guy. Instead of him leading her down an appropriate path, you know, he likes to collect trophies like every piece of trash, pedophile, sexual deviant dirtbag that I've chased down. His fetish was getting upstanding ladies and turning them into whores. That's his thing. Feel me? And I've seen it over and over. I don't really think she wasn't the one with the money to pay all of those people. And at the end of the day, Combs paid her $30 million, and innocence don't cost that much.
Okay. I appreciate that. Do you think artists ever truly own themselves anymore, or are they leasing their soul with each contract?
You hear rappers say all the time they sold their soul. If you sign a 60 deal, you don't have a lot of, you barely have any ownership. Because if a label gives you $1 million, you have to pay them like 9 or 10 million back. It's a trap. It's a trap. Soon as Michael Jackson wanted to get his masters, what happened? He ended up dead. Look at NBA YoungBoy. This man then cost more cases than I've ever seen anybody ever catch in life. And he gets out every time because who's he making money for? He's making people a lot of money. And, you know, bro, judges, lawyers, that private sector, they all know each other. They all went to the same Ivy League schools. They all went to the same program. They all know each other. Everything goes back to who you know, bloodlines, and family structures. Because all of those people on that side, that family structure is tight. And they live by the rules of their family, not the rules of society. That's how they're able to keep certain things under wraps. All the big game manipulation, for sure.
Man, let's talk about human trafficking retrievals, man. When you say retrieval, does that mean it's safe, lawful operation? Like, what does that really look like from like intake to aftercare?
Now, look, I'll be totally honest. When I first started doing this, it wasn't legal at all. You feel me? Like, it wasn't legal at all. It was just like being a force and a person that people respected in my neighborhood. You know, they would come to me their problems. And, you know, how this really all started was a lady comes to the spot. She got a video on her phone from her cameras in her house. The dude, Kenny, one of the powerful vice lord dudes, this dude ended up, him and another guy ended up pretty much gang raping her 6-year-old daughter, right? She comes to the spot, she busts through the door, and she said, look what they did to my baby. I see the video. She throws some purple sweatpants. I'll never forget this. She tosses the sweatpants on the couch next to me. I grab them, I examine them. I look inside, you know, I see like this dried brown substance, like this yellow, some type of yellow discharge on the inside. I see what took place, right? This lady is a CNA nurse. She handed me a stack of money. She said, I don't care what you do, but you better do something. I'm like, okay. You know, we go over there, we work them over. You feel me? And unfortunately, this is how that footage of me shot up came out because I didn't know that dude had 50,000 to put on my life. But he did. You feel me? And that led to a whole war taking place. And that's what really united my homies to say, you know what, BH, we stand with you on this. You feel me? Like, this what we doing, this what we doing. You feel me? Because like once the guys see, like, wait a second, but he break the baby? He said, hold on. They always say that if BH make the plan, we always come home. So they say, BH, we need to get this together. And then, bro, once people seen that dude head knotted up like that, a lot more people started reaching out. And I was like, oh, okay. So that's what's all right. Look, let me go ahead and do the professional thing here. Let's get this done properly. You know, I had to get a real company. I had to get licensed and bonded. I had to make sure everybody had to go get 40-hour, 80-hour courses. Sending guys to firearms training, Krav Maga training. You feel me? We started to build it up to be a real business. And then you have to inform law enforcement that you're operating and doing certain things as well. Otherwise, you're just a vigilante. They're gonna take your ass to jail. So, you know, I had to make it legit, but it didn't start legit.
That's good to know, man. A lot of people probably been thinking about doing it. There's a right way to do things. And so I appreciate you for taking that, you know, those efforts. Let's speak on the families, man. What are the most common mistakes families make when they try to self-rescue a loved one?
It goes back to something you said earlier about emotionally charged choices. You know, in this business, you have to operate as a business. We're taking a job, we're going to follow protocol. Because there have been situations where, you know, if I see some of the guys is personally involved and emotionally is pulling at their heartstrings and they get too pissed off, it's bro, like the pedophiles, bro, they play crazy. They say crazy things to you, bro. And they all work in little groups. So you would take their phone and see it's like 700 of them on a Telegram channel, exchanging pictures and stuff like that. That makes people, that makes black men with children bad. There was a situation where I had went outside of a retrieval was going on. I went outside briefly. And the person who was under scrutiny had a cache of VHS tapes. On these tapes, he was doing horrible things with children that I guess he became introduced to them through a program at a church. And one of the guys that put one of them was on a DVD, put one of the DVDs in his Blu-ray player, and he cut it on. And I said, "What made you cut this on?" Because he said he kept staring at the box. Once we seen what was on that first DVD, one of the guys shot the TV. He was that pissed off about it. And yeah, I mean, hold on. This dude was in a wheelchair, bro. They drug him out the wheelchair, it's guns in his mouth and all type of stuff. And when I get back inside, I go to the bathroom, I notice that the shower curtain in the bathroom had been ripped off. So I see the shower curtain is gone. I'm like, I know what this means, you feel me? So where are they at? And I feel like that if I would have waited any longer, bro, it would have been a homicide that day for sure. And, I can't be a man who says he walks in the light and I'm allowing barbarism to take place, no matter how ridiculous the actions is being taken by whoever is under scrutiny. You feel me? I tried to word that as best I could right there. You feel me? Because, bro, this is why I had to make sure I started to hire actual security professionals. Because, you bringing the members out, they might want to get their own justice, bro. You feel me? And that can get us all a life sentence. So
Yeah.
I try to operate.
Be careful with that. You said your team brought people home, including children. What's the moment that, those rescues, what's the moment that stays with you the most?
Oh, man. So there's a process called the Unite. This is probably the only thing that probably ever stays with me because, bro, oh, man. Bro, when a dad feels like he failed and he knows that, I'll just give you an actual instance. There was a guy, he was a not over the road truck driver. He drove locally. And he had a cleaning business also. You feel me? His child's mom, he had 6 kids. His baby mama had died in a car accident. So he's a single father of 6. That's expensive. So he would drive trucks during the day, and at night, his cleaning business, he would go and clean up car dealerships and office spaces and stuff like that. So, he was only seeing his kids 4-5 hours a day. And by the time he get home, he's tired, he said that his biggest mistake was letting iPads and iPhones raise his children.
Speak on that. Yeah.
You feel me? Because almost every time we go to try to find a missing little girl, they met somebody on TikTok. They met somebody on one of these social media apps. And they convinced them to walk out the house.
Roblox.
Roblox is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
They're adding a dating service to Roblox. That's ridiculous. You feel me? So, there's definitely an attack on the youth. So once he contacted us, he had quit his job. He was spending his life savings on trying to find his, he had an 11-year-old daughter. He was trying to find her on his own. He contacted us about 2 months go past. I want to say not 2 months. I want to say about a month and a half goes past. We get a location off of doing a reverse image search off an image that we found on Backpage. And we ended up getting his daughter. The Unite process, this was the first time I did it. I stayed for the Unite process where you reunite the missing person with their family. And the emotions that took place there was heavy. It was heavy. I'll never forget it. And I never want to experience it again because I said to myself, I don't ever want the Unite process to be about me. I want it to be about the family getting their loved one back. And the pain I saw on that man's face when he seen his daughter and the clothes that she had on, she had she had stripper clothes on, basically, a kid. And the pain I saw on that man's face, the agony, like when he cried out, you feel me? And that stuck with me because, this is he wasn't a small dude, he's a big guy, he had been to prison himself before. He had turned his life around, rehabilitated himself, and he just kept saying, I failed you, bro. I failed you. I failed you. Before I left, I said, no, you didn't, bro. You did what you had to do. You found me. We got it back. So you need to spend it. Don't worry about yourself right now. You need to focus on rebuilding this person. And I don't ever want to experience that again, because to operate at a high level, I don't have my heart involved. I have my heart involved when I'm going out feeding the youth, sending kids to school and stuff like that. When I'm operating in my business, if my heart gets involved, well, you a flash out, bro. You feel me? Because these guys will say, she wanted it. What you mean? A 6-year-old wanted it, man. That'll piss you off, but it makes you so angry. And, but it's disgusting things that these guys come up with. And then once you realize how many of them it is, you start thinking to yourself like, man, maybe we should just eliminate as many of them as we can. You feel me? But, you can't do that. You know what I'm saying? So, I try to just make sure I keep it business because it is my purpose. But at the same time, bro, like, you got to be careful. Because when your heart get to beating, bro, and one of these weirdos say something crazy, bro, man. I've wanted to hurt a lot of dudes very bad. Very bad. You feel me? But, like, we had got several of them arrested. And the crazy part is cops will send us photos of what they did to them when they got them in the police station. Wow. So it's like, oh, okay. Well, I'll take that. You feel me? I'll take that. So, yeah, definitely the Unite process, that get heavy, bro. That, whew.
Okay, so if someone listening is like they feel targeted, what is the first 3 lawful moves they should make to protect themselves?
They feel targeted in what aspect?
As a victim of trafficking or, like one of your...
Oh, okay. Yeah, if you feel targeted, the first thing you need to do is, we call it complete isolation. You need to take yourself and put yourself somewhere. We always do this. We get somebody a hotel room, top floor of a big hotel, and you got to make sure you got microwave, refrigerator, everything you need in there, and you don't come out for as long as you can. No trafficker wants a hard job. No trafficker really wants to work too hard to get their next trafficked person. The more difficult you make it for them, they're going to move on. You feel me? Because, people will call me because they have a gang stalker situation going on, or we'll have a stalker removal. You have to take yourself out of this person's sight or our mind so they'll reveal themselves searching for you, then we can intercept. That's the only way. Because a true stalker who aims to traffic you, they're going to study your routine for a long time. You'll never know they're watching. So if you suspect it, isolation, you have to get yourself off the X. Once you get yourself off the X, now that person has to come find you. Now we can intervene there because now, what are you doing here? We need your information. Oh, now we can take you to go get a restraining order. So now, once you get the restraining order, this person's on your property. You can lethal force without going to jail. Mm-hmm. That's a key.
So should they alert the authorities? Is there any agencies they need to tap in with? Or
problem with that is, you can alert authorities, but you have to have evidence. Like I said, I tell people, hit me up. We'll show you how to get it done. You want to reach me, big homie cc1@gmail.com for sure at all times. We always working. The team is still active, but it's definitely ways to operate for all these different scenarios for sure.
Okay, man, let's kind of like switch it up real quick, man. I want to talk about, you talk about metaphysical stuff. You talk about astral projection. And spiritual warfare. Do you know anybody that's astral projected? What's the craziest thing you've seen in that Brown?
Oh, there's a lady named Beverly Rhodes. Beverly Rhodes worked for the CIA for 25 years. She's currently working with the London police right now. She helps find missing people, find missing bodies. We got a call. We had to travel to the Yumbo, Columbia area. This was a game-changing moment for me because there was no way for Beverly to know exactly where I was at. She says to me, I see paint chipping on the wall. I see people outside, and I see a black chair in the room with you. I turned and looked over, and I saw that black chair. I see the paint chip on the wall. I'm in a ran down Airbnb in Yumbo, Columbia. I instantly knew, I said, oh, this is legit. She's legit. There was no way she could know that. And the person we were out there to try to find, Brittany Stackpole, I don't know how she did it, but her and her team of remote viewers triangulated the location. They sent us a drawing of the advertisement outside of the brothel. The drawing was only off by one letter, and we was able to reunite that lady with her people. You see what I'm saying? And Beverly was in Wales, in Europe. There was no way she could have known any. There was no way. There was no way. So that showed me that astral projection and remote viewing is indeed real. You feel me? It's indeed real.
What made you take that avenue?
She contacted me.
Whoa.
She contacted me because I went on Sean Atwood's channel, and Sean Atwood's a big podcast in the UK. I went on his channel, and she was already working with him. So when she seen what I did, she was a victim of trafficking herself as a child. So when she seen what I did, she contacted me. And once she contacted me, she was telling me things that only my grandmother would have known. But the crazy thing about all of this is, I was in the Catholic Church for a period of time. And, the Catholic prayer is, Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now to the hour of our death. Amen. So the fathers at the Catholic Church would always say, a psychic isn't talking to your loved ones. They're talking to demons impersonating your loved ones. So I was always hesitant to deal with people who operated with psionic abilities until I met Beverly. Because if she was talking to demons, it wouldn't be helping me. It wouldn't be helping us. You feel me? So that would kind of let me know that, okay, this good and evil thing exists here on this plane. And, science has proved there are several different dimensions that exist. You feel me? So it's taking place in all dimensions. So like in quantum physics, they say time is linear. Everything is happening right now. That crucifixion is happening right now. This would prove that. So yeah, that's how I got it. That's how I got exposed to that. And yeah, it's a video out on YouTube about this whole process, how we went down there, and Beverly's on the video with us. So yeah, man, it's a lot more going on in the world than people know, and I feel like it's important that we try to wake up as many people as possible.
For anybody that's actually listening to this right now and they want to check out that video, what channel can they find it on?
You can find that on Off the Grid Podcast, or Off the Grid Network, and you can find it on Project Rook. ROOQ. You can find it right there with me, Ron Antonio, at Beverly Rhodes.
You often speak about alien factions and alien conflicts. What sorts of shape your view, and how do you separate those theories from facts? Are there some books that you can recommend?
Yeah, definitely. There's a book by Whitley Strieber called Dominion. There's a book by Luis Elizondo called Imminent. And there's a book called The Extra Dimensionals by John D'Souza. All of those books, and there's one last book everybody should check out. It's called Two. There's Linda Moulton Howe's book called An Alien Harvest, and there's Dr. Roger Lear's book about alien implants. That book within itself is disclosure because his team had an initiative called Hacking the Alien Internet, because one of the implants they removed out of a man's body was sending signals off-world. And when they tried to remove it out of his body, it moved on camera. And the isotopes found in that implant do not exist on Earth. Facts.
Proof of alien technology right there.
Yes, sir. Facts. Definitely facts.
But you said some technology may carry non-human signature. You may probably talking about that. Before a skeptic, what patterns or experience have you moved, like basically fueled your conviction?
Yeah, it's pretty simple for me. We went from the Mox, and after Roswell, the Roswell crash at Roswell, New Mexico, after that, we had a tremendous leap in technology. We had no fiber optics. We had no superconductor metals. We had none of this until after that crash took place. The eyewitness testimony at the scene described a saucer. It described bodies. And this was posted in the newspaper at this time. Very next day, they covered it all up simply because, I can understand you don't want your enemies to know what type of technology you probably picked up and found. I can understand that. But anywhere on the earth, eyewitness testimony is enough to get you a life sentence. We have to trust the words of our peers, especially if we have 1,000 people telling the same exact story who don't know each other. Straight like that.
Okay, man. Let's get to our closing. I appreciate everything, man. So you face threats speaking out, and yet you keep pushing. What keeps you choosing to do what you're doing, man? And when does that make it an opportunity for you just to keep thriving forward?
It's real simple, because of how I was raised, it's been a threat against me since I was a kid. So I was taught that, look, we can't make the threat go away. All we can do is prepare ourselves. You feel me? So the more skills that you have is going to give you a sense of confidence within yourself. Like, okay, look, I can't make this go away, but I can be prepared for it when they come. And I've proven I've been hard to kill, bro. You feel me? I've proven that. Throughout history, in every civilization, you got different types of people. My mom always said it takes all different types of people to make the world go round. You have artists, you have carpenters, you have metal workers, you have teachers, and then you got that small designated group where their job is to come burn your village if they have to. You got that one group of guys so the people in the salons can run their salon, so the people who farming can farm without being pillaged and robbed. You got that one group of guys who their sole job is to be protectors and to be fierce. Even Jesus tore up the church, you feel me? And it comes a point in time where, you either lay down and die or you stand up and fight. And people love you and they depend upon you. You don't fight with every last breath to make sure that you're there for them. You see what I'm saying? I don't believe in victim mentality. I don't believe in this whole woke victimhood mind state that people are trying to adapt. I feel like without strong men, you can't have no society, bro. Point blank period, because you have to be able to reprimand people and hold people accountable when they start to have a bad course. Because if not, everybody will be having ditty parties. They're having kids up in there. There'll be baby oil all over the damn place. So, we living in a zest apocalypse right now, man. You feel me? We watching the zest take over people's bodies. It just, at the end of the day, Sodom and Gomorrah existed, man. You feel me? If we not careful, certain things can repeat themselves, So I just feel like, man, if I don't do it, somebody got to do it.
Close this thing out, a couple more questions, man. I want to make sure that people get a better idea of what it is you're trying to that your mission is, man. When it's all said and done, what do you want your soundtrack to say about you?
Oh man, that's woo. Hey, shout out to my boy Legacy Lamont, man. His PO questions is tough. Check this out, right? I felt like this. I said, I can't be the only person who feel how I feel. But if people don't know about me, then they'll feel like that. So I said, if I get this story out there, I know it's going to be a lot of like-minded individuals who will now say, wait a second, I felt just like that. I thought that same thing. And that's exactly what happened, bro. Like, once people found out about me, I didn't expect this, but the support has been overwhelming. Like, when you read the comments on my podcast, on my videos, like, even Piers Morgan was astonished at how much support, how much love I got. That's what it was all about because, there's been a few situations where I showed up, I helped some people, helped the lady out, and she said, "You restored my faith in mankind. I'll never judge another black man based off his appearance ever again." And then a lady sent me a video, she says, of her husband watching me on a podcast. She said, "My husband has never watched a black man on a TV screen this long ever in his life." She said, "Young man, you are changing the world." And, I just wanted to try to spark that inner kid, like that inner good in people who thought it just didn't exist no more. For people to see a person like myself on the crusade that I'm on, and how many young men reach out who want to help, how many people who contact me and say, "Me knowing that you exist makes me sleep better at night." That's all I really wanted, bro. Like, I didn't get into this to be trying to make $1 million and all of this type of stuff. I really just wanted to help my people. You feel me? I wanted to raise the conversation and the thought process in the black male community, and I feel like I've done that. You feel me? Because all of the content creators that reached out to me over the last, I only been on the internet for 12 months. So over the last 6 months, men have started podcasts just so they could talk to me and spread this message. And that's all I can ask for, bro. God did it for sure.
And I'm definitely in that boat too. I never even thought about doing this, man. And I will say this for me, you my favorite commentator on all podcasts because you always speak the truth. Ain't never no cap. It always comes from an informed perspective, and I appreciate and really salute what you do. So I wanted to make sure I said that to you and give you your flowers, man. Keep doing what you're doing. A real life superhero in my eyes, man. That's not even joking. That's real. Keep doing what you're doing. I think you're here for a big reason. So last question, right? For those who want to tap in, where can they follow your work right now? What channels? What are your channels, projects, and what's your message so they don't miss what's coming out next?
All right, for sure. So if you want to find me on YouTube, Off the Grid Network, you're going to see me right there. Patreon, Big Homie CC, TikTok, BigHomie.cc, Instagram, BigHomie.cc. If you want to contact me directly, my email is BigHomieCC1 at Gmail. I respond to all Instagram DMs. Shoot me a message. I talk to everybody. I'm not out of reach. If you ever need somebody to talk to, I'm available. And shout out to my boy Legacy Lamont.
Man, appreciate you, man. And he's not lying. I mean, I think you follow me, and he actually knew the podcast, so that's crazy enough as it is. And so I really appreciate that, man. So I want to close this out by saying, Big Homie, thank you for bringing your truth to this platform, brother. You've taken us on a journey most people would never have the courage to even walk, let alone speak on. So we honor you not only for surviving it, but for choosing to share it. And everyone listening, make sure you follow his channel and stay locked in on what he's building. This is Off Top Podcast, where stories meet spirit and truth or straight. I want to sign out by saying thank you again, and we out. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir, brother. Yes, sir.
All right, I am Mike at jhbizz. You just got done watching the big homie CC on Off Top TV and Off the Grid. Peace, and I'm out.